Hi folks, it's Tim the Constructor. Today's job is upstairs and we're going to be fitting a loft ladder to give us safe and convenient access into the attic space. I'm going to show you how to do that. So the ladder we've gone for is it's made by Arrow. It's a 2-section loft ladder and it's aluminium. It's got a safety handrail, should be just what we need. So let's get to it. So checking the instructions that are here, it gives us the dimensions, the minimum dimensions of the loft hatch itself, so the ladder works okay. To do that, we've got to go up and measure the thickness of the floor up there, and then that will give us our minimum dimensions for the loft hatch itself, which may mean that we have to enlarge it to suit the working of the ladder itself. So let's do that now. Okay, so here we are. So we're going to check the thickness of the floor now. That will give us our size for the, if we check on the instructions, that gives us our size of the attic hatch. So if we allow for a floor thickness on top of the joist there, which is pretty much flush with the top of that, our floor thickness is 100 millimeters, or in old money that's 4 inches. So let's go and check that on the chart now, and that'll give us our dimension for the loft opening itself. Okay folks, so if we check on the chart here, we've got floor thickness of, it says 102, which is near enough for us, 4 inches, and that gives us a minimum length of our opening. Needs to be 501 millimeters or 19.75 inches. So let's have a measure, see exactly what we've got up here. Okay, so I don't know if you'll be able to see that. We've got an opening of 590. Don't know if you can see that there. 590. So we've got plenty of room there. Depends how fussy you want to be, and if you want to have any making good. We could use this hatch as it is, or if we want to give ourselves more room, we could extend it going between the trusses, because they're immovable. You don't want to start cutting lumps out of the trusses. So we could, if we wanted to, extend the length here, if we wanted to give us a bit of extra room. But you know what builders are like, we don't like to make work for ourselves, so I think we'll work with what we've got. Okay, so we're going to have to put some flooring in here, adjacent to the hatch. That's where the ladder fits to. And also you want somewhere to climb onto when you get up there. There are some other dimensions that we'll go over later, but that'll be easier once I've got this floor in, and then I'll fit the ladder, and then it'll be easier to show you the clearances that we need. I've had a quick measure with what you've got before you buy the ladder. Whereas it could be wasted, just make sure that you've got the necessary clearances in your own attic. I'm good in this one. So I've got a really high ridge here, and the attic comes up more or less central into the house, so I've got a lot of room. But check your own installation, or else you might end up with problems. Okay, so what we've got to do is we've got to floor in this bit here where the ladder's going to fix to. So what I've done is got a couple of pieces of batten, had a couple of bits laying around in the garage, so I'm just going to screw these to the side of the roof trusses. Flush with the top of the truss to take the floor. screws in there, should be plenty. The reason I'm doing that is because we've got the existing flooring here comes to the outside of the truss. There's nothing to fix the floor to. I'm just going to cut in between here and here. So we'll just screw those battens on the sides of the truss. That gives something for our floor to bear on. Wham bam, thank you ma'am. Hasn't got to be super accurate, because at the end of the day we're not building a piano. So put 3 screws in each batten. Thus. So now all we need to do is take a measurement between here and here with the trusty tape measure. 560 will be good. So we can cut down a couple of strips of floor, and we can then fit these in between here. Come back in a minute. Okay folks, I had a root around in the garage. Luckily I had a piece of OSB. It was that deep, but I just had to cut 50mm off to make it fit. So I'm just going to put a few screws in it, just to make it good and strong, hold it in place, because our loft ladder screws into this, so it needs to be securely fixed. So we just put a few, I've just gone for 1.5" screws, which is more than enough to securely fix it. Whoopsie. Okay, so that's that screwed down. Now we should be able to get on and attach the ladder. Now the attic light is just on a pendant. Well, it's a fixed batten. The attic light is on a batten fitting, which is screwed to the purlin up there. It's just on a piece of flex, which plugs in to the place of the bulb in the bedroom light, which is very inconvenient because when you're in the bedroom you need a light, but I can't use the light in there because the loft light's plugged into it, which is so inconvenient. So we'll be showing you how to hardwire a loft light in a future video. Okay, so the first task is we're going to take the stops off of the loft opening with a hammer and chisel so that we can prepare the opening for the new hatch. So all I'm going to do is get the chisel and I'm going to insert it into the top of the stop and just tap it over with the hammer. I'm going to go from the top rather than bottom, because if we go from the bottom there's chances are we're going to damage the paintwork, which we want to try and avoid, so we're going to chisel from the top to prevent damage. Okay, so you can see taking the battens off now. There's a little ridge of paint there. Just going to get a piece of sandpaper and I'll bit off of one of these sanding machines. Just going to give that a quick rub down. So I'm hoping to be able to use the existing trap hatch. I'm just going to check it to see how well it fits. Probably won't fit very well because we're looking for a neat, about 2mm gap all the way around, ideally. But because it just sat on top of the stops before, it won't have been cut very accurately, so it may not fit very well, but I'm going to check that out. I've got some MDF up in the garage just in case I can't reuse this one. So let's try that trap hatch in the hole. Let's see what that looks like. So I'm not expecting it to fit particularly well because, as I said before, it was just laying on top of the stops before, so the fit hasn't got to be great. So just hold that up there. Don't know if you can see, it's in very poor condition, and there's a huge, I don't know if you can see that from there, but there's a huge great gap around it. Not very parallel, and I would prefer to see like a 2 to 3mm even gap all the way around. So we're going to end up cutting a new trap hatch. So let's get to it. Okay, so if the existing hatch had fitted reasonably well, and you wanted to just cut a new hatch, then you could just simply used it as a template to draw around it for the new one. But as it wasn't so good, I'm going to use framing square just to check to see how square it is. Even if one corner square, it makes it good because you can just do one score and then one corner square, and then simply measure the position of the remaining corners. Just one corner square, that's all we need. But it looks like every corner is out of square.
Here's what I found.
So which means we've got to just go for it really. So we just get one corner fitting, just pick a corner, any corner, and just do it by guesstimation. That's the closest corner being square there. We've only got about 2mm gap, so working from that, let's see what we got down here. So go from that long edge there. It's almost square. It's about, I don't know, 2mm, which we've got to take off of this corner here, so that it fits down there. So we'll do that, mark that out onto our new piece of MDF. So as you can see, I've just marked that, the similar sort of gap that we had on the square there, to nothing. Just done it by eye because that'll be, close enough for now. We can just ease it if we need to, but it's a good starting point. So we'll just go down and cut that. We will go up into the garage because that will make too much mess in the house. Okay, so we've trimmed down that corner on the new MDF. So we're just going to try it back in the hole, see if that fits down on that one corner. Once we've got it fitting perfectly down one corner, then we can just measure the rest. I'll show you that in a minute. But we'll just try it in the hole for now, see how it fits. Okay, so we're holding it in place. I don't know if you can see. Check down that side there and down that end there. and that looks pretty good. So once you've got one long end, one long edge, one end fitting with one corner, then we can just measure the other points, which we're going to get onto now. Okay, so for orientation purposes, so we don't get confused, which is possible with us older guys, just going to make a mark in the corner here, and then a corresponding mark on that corner, just in light pencil, so we know which way round to take the measurements, etc. Or else we'll end up with doing it wrong, and because it's so far out of square, once you've done it wrong, you've done it wrong and it won't fit anymore. So I'll get on and take the measurements now. Okay, so made a little sketch there with an orientation X, so we know which way round it goes when we mark it all out. Just accurately, because this is straight and it fits our new board, we're going to take the measurements from this. So we've taken the length of this, and the length of this. Well, we've done the perimeter basically, and then I've done one diagonal from our good corner across to the other corner as a checkpoint, so we can make sure it's all going to work out. So let's transfer this to our board. Okay, so we're going to measure, this is the corner from a little X, so we'll orientate the paper there. Obviously when it's fitted it's going that way up, so we're going to measure across. We've got 507 here. Just so you know, I'm going to mark it so I'll set out the corners first, and then I'm going to take off the fitting tolerance, just so I can make sure that the corners work out and they're going to be spot on, and then I'll take off the fitting tolerance. Okay, so we've got 507 there, we've got 613 there. Just make sure you've got a nice sharp pencil so you can be more accurate. I don't know if you've seen these carpenter's pencils. They do like a 1/4 inch wide pencil line, and it's, if you cut to the line you could be plus or minus 1/4 inch. So a nice sharp pencil makes it a lot easier. So from this point here we've got 505. And the best thing to do there is just hold it on there and just scribe an arc at 505. And then from this corner here we've got 610. So same thing, scribe an arc at 610. And then that gives you your intersection point. Okay, we'll just check the diagonal. So from where it's marked on the X, we've got 7, 8, 7.5. So it says here 788. So I'm half a millimetre out on the diagonal, which, to be honest, is pretty accurate. So that gives us our 4 corners. Now, want 2 mil all the way round, ideally. So I'll just take off 4 mil off of each length, and then that'll give us our fitting tolerance. So 4 mil off there, 4 mil off there, 4 mil there, 4 mil there. Okay, so I can just join those dots up now. that. So that's it, folks. So we can go back up to the garage and cut that out. Okay folks, so I've been up to the garage, I've cut my MDF hatch door. I've just tried it in the hole and it fits beautifully, which is good, with a 2mm gap all around, which is what I like to see. You don't want it too tight or else it could bind when you're using it, and you don't want it too loose because it looks ugly and it's just easier for the heat to escape up into the attic, and it's just like throwing money down the drain. So aim for a 2mm gap all around and you'll be about right. So I've cut this to size, I've checked that it fitted, which is ideal, and then I've just taken the sharp edge all the way around with the sander, because when you paint it, paint doesn't stick to sharp corners. So just take the Aris or the sharp edge off with the sander all the way around, and I've done that on the face and on the back as well. Okay, so we're going to think about fitting the hinges now. Bearing in mind we've got 2mm all the way around, I'm going to measure the thickness of the hinge. So the thickness of the hinge is, it's about 3mm. So we want the 2mm gap. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to recess one of the leaves into the timber up there, and I'm just going to face fix onto the MDF. So that should work out about right. Don't really want to recess it into the MDF because there's no advantage going in that, but we'll recess into the timber at the head of the trap hatch. Let's get on with that. Okay, so I'm going to screw the hinges into the trapdoor. Normally when you're looking at a hinge, the way round to do it is the major part, which fits to the ends of the pins, which you can see there. That goes to the solid fixing. Same with doors, this part goes to the frame, and then the smaller part goes to either the door or whatever you're hinging. I've marked this in 75mm from the end. I'm going to pre-drill these into the MDF, because guaranteed that if you're screwing into the end of MDF, because it's layered, so to speak, it will split. So just do some pilot holes with a couple of mil bit. 75mm in from that end as well. Couple of pilots. Okay. Three, two, one. Okay, so now I'm going to screw those in with the big drill. You can use obviously a hand screwdriver, but I'm just going to screw that in now into the pre-drilled pilot holes, and then we won't have any worry about any problems with splitting. Bing bang boom. Okay, now we can hold this up in position, bearing in mind that we want to hinge this the same end that the ladder's going to hinge from in our case. This is going to be on the far end there, so the same corner that we did the little X on. So I'll hold it up there, mark out the hinge, then we can chop that out with the chisel. Okay, so I've held the hatch up there, marked the position of where the hinges are going to go. So I'm taking the hinge back off. I'm going to hold that in position and just draw around it. That'll give me my final position, and then I can chop it out using hammer and chisel. Let's get to it. Okay, so mark those on there, and we only want to chop in the thickness. We only want to chop that in the thickness of the leaf of the one side of the hinge, so that when that's in there, that'll give us our 2mm all around. So just chop across the grain. Around the exterior perimeter line. And just cut it out. It's about millimetre and a half. We'll try to get it spot on, but if you don't, get it fairly close, and then you can always pack it out with a little bit of paper or cardboard to fine it tune. But the closest you can get it to start with for this work. And as they say, time is money. Okay, so that's that chopped out. It's now ready to put that hinge that we took off back onto the edge of the door. Then we can just pre-drill and screw it in. Let's get to that. So I just put a couple of screws in for the time being. I'm just going to check to see that it fits correctly. Okay, it fits pretty good. I've just got to adjust it. Just going to put a small, very small packing in this left-hand hinge here, just to straighten up and make the gaps parallel. this side's fine. So we'll just put another screw into that. So I've found, just use a little piece of card from the screw box. Just cut a little thin strip, the length of the hinge. And then all we need to do is just release the screw slightly there, push this up behind the hinge and then re-screw, and then that'll just push that out and that'll parallel up the gap. Just release that off just a little bit. Just see how many times you can drop it. It's awkward when it's like this. On a normal door, it's a lot easier. But this, of course, it just wants to drop straight out. So I'll just pinch that behind. Try that again. Okay, lovely. Okay, I tried that. That fits beautifully. Of course, I've got the camera sitting on top of the screw box right now, so you see my big fat fingers getting in the way. Be handy to have some decent tripods, I guess, or stick the camera on my head. Okay, so put another screw in that. Another screw in that. We'll try it again. Spot on. Okay, so next we just got to put the what do you call it? The thingammy-doodle. The latch is the word I was looking for. Just got to fit the latch so that fits correctly. So we'll go down and do that now. Okay folks, so we've now screwed the hinges on. I'll just show you how that fits. So it's just hanging there. We've packed out the left hand hinge here because I just needed to adjust it slightly so we've got a parallel gap. If you look at this, hold that up there. Don't know if you can see that. But that fits beautifully. Parallel gap all round. I've just left a slightly large gap on the opening side so it doesn't bind at all. But other than that, it's pretty good. So all we got to do now is to fit the latch here. So let's get on with that. Okay, so we're going to mark out for the latch now, which obviously is the opposite end to the hinge side. So we're going to just measure to the centre of the opening here and make a mark. Okay, so we've marked the centre of the frame. So I'm just pushing it up with my head just slightly. So that mark there, I'm just going to transfer onto the hatch, which is there. And then I've got to make another mark, 26mm from the frame to the centre of the latch there. All these sizes are in the instruction book. So obviously make sure you do it to your instructions and not my instructions, because obviously it needs to suit your ladder. Okay, so marked out the little X there. X marks the spot. That's where we're going to drill through, and this is the fitting that's got to go through. It says 13mm. Can't honestly remember if this is 12 or 13, but we'll drill through, and if we need to wiggle it to make it slightly bigger, then we can wiggle it. Let's go. Okay, so just drill through there. Let's try that little piece. It's a snug fit, which I think, you know, I can twist it quite easily with my fingers. So I think we'll go with that. Perfect. Now we've got to fit well, we've got to connect the parts to make this with the latch that works on the top, and then the part that fits to the frame. So we'll get on and do that. Okay, folks. So we've screwed the latch onto the side here. Basically that's the thickness of the door plus 9mm. The dimensions are in the instructions, so just make sure that you follow the instructions for your hatch. And on this side, basically there's a little plate there which just allows you to turn the latch 90 degrees, a little nut on the end. I haven't done that too tight because obviously it needs to be able to move fairly easily. So that's it really. So that just twists up. There's a little indicator on the edge of there which shows you that the latch itself is round into position. So that's it. That's the hatch done. As you can see, it fits good all the way round. So we're ready now to install the ladder. Let's go to it. Okay, so what we've done is we've extended the ladder as it needs to be, and we've slid the brackets up into their position, just here and here, and we're now going to screw those into the framework. Okay, let's get on with that. Okay folks, so that's the ladder fixed down. We just got the steps now just to make sure that it actually misses all the bits in the roof, misses all the bracing, which is good. So yeah, okay. So all that remains now is to put the little handrail on the side of the ladder. Well, let's get to it. Okay folks, so the handrail just bolts to the side of the top rung. So all that remains now is to put a plug in the bottom of the operating. There. And there's a little hook that fits on the other end like that, and that's what twists the fitting at the top. So just a test to do now, so we'll turn the light off. This is why we need to do a hardwired light in the attic, because this cable just gets in the way of everything. So we'll just put the cable up out the way for the time being. Let's put the camera down a sec. Okay, let's wrap this cable up. so it's out of the way. That's it. Okay, come back down the ladder with me. Okay, so what we've got to do, fold the ladder up, push it up into the roof, like that. Get a little pole. Then we can push the hatch up. Push the hatch up into the hole. Give it a twist, like that. And that's it, job done. Gives us a nice, neat, fitted access ladder. So all that remains to do now is it just needs to be painted. One thing I will say is when you're painting it, I know it takes a little bit longer, but paint it both sides so that the board's balanced. The reason being that if you just painted one side, it could absorb moisture from the air and you'll find it'll bow, because obviously the painted side remains flat, and with any absorbed moisture in the back of it, it will stretch longer, so which will push a bend into the board. So remember that any board materials seal on both sides so that they remain balanced. Okay folks, that's it. Thanks for watching.